There's been a recent study that shows some exoplanets may have greater variety of life than exists on Earth. Now, keep in mind, it says may. You'll see this a lot in these types of exoplanet stories. May have life, could contain, it's always may, coulds, wishes and everything. So it says that a new study indicates that some exoplanets may have better conditions for life to thrive than Earth itself. Again, it's not a stunning revelation to say that something may be something else. It's not a stunning finding and a big surprise that this study finds that exoplanets may have better conditions for life than Earth. They may not. What's the difference? And you see that a lot in these types of articles. But it makes you wonder, why do they push this exoplanet question so hard? They're really big into this. We'll read a little bit more of this article before getting to the clip where we actually talk about this, but it says the discovery of exoplanets has accelerated the search for life outside our solar system. The huge distances to these exoplanets mean they are effectively impossible to reach with space probes, so scientists are working with remote sensing tools such as telescopes to understand what conditions prevail on different exoplanets. Making sense of these remote observations require the development of sophisticated models for planetary climate and evolution to allow scientists to recognize which of these distant planets might host life. So again, why are they pushing this exoplanet thing so hard all the time? It's because it's another way to inject the idea of cosmic plurality into the culture. It's another way for people to start thinking about the possibility of alien life again. And actually, Derek Gilbert and I talked about this. We talked about this when our book, The Day the Earth Stands Still, came out. And this is a clip from an episode of Skywatch TV that we did where we talk about exoplanets and the connection to Leviathan in the Bible. Watch this. But what's interesting about going to kind of perceptions in pop culture, in the science realm, one of the biggest ones is the search for exoplanets. Most recently, the TRAPPIST system that they found. Right. But yeah, they actually do look for water before anything else, and they look at the position, what's called like the Goldilocks zone or the habitable zone, which, by the way, that doesn't necessarily mean there's life or there could be life. Technically, Venus is in the habitable zone, and as we talked about before, nothing is going to be living there. But there's actually they've discovered a bunch of these in the Extrasolar Planets Encyclopedia. It's a catalog, and it boasts 3,640 planets. 2,730 planetary systems and 612 multiple planet systems that have been discovered. So this isn't just every once in a while they find something. Like, there's a lot of these things out there, and they try to detect water whenever they get some kind of sign that, and we've even seen this with attempting to find water on Mars. Even whenever there's a possibility they might have found it, it blows up in the news. Now, sometimes later it's proven to be something else, and then sometimes it's just kind of left ambiguous. But it always brings up this question again, where people who might be drawn more to pop culture, they get this question through things like Ancient Aliens. Well, more science-minded people will get it through the discovery of an exoplanet. It always brings up the question: could life exist on another planet? Does it? Is this evidence saying it's more reasonable to believe that it does? And a lot of them will gravitate towards that, which, that's fine. People can believe what they want to believe, but again, it's the severe lack of evidence. It's really difficult to detect water on, another planet. I mean, think about Mars. Think how close that is compared to an exoplanet on some other, another solar system, another star system. Even on Mars, it can't really be proven. There's a lot of evidence saying that there likely is water there, and some would say that it's proven. I personally wouldn't, for a variety of reasons that I get into in the book. And by the way, I'm not like anti-extraterrestrial water. I actually think that'd be really cool if it was proven to be true. But at the same time, the extreme lack of evidence that pushes this agenda even more forward, like, well, there's evidence to show that there's water on this exoplanet. It's within the habitable zone or the Goldilocks zone. So it's more likely that extraterrestrial life could exist. Not really. You know, it's a really big conclusion drawn on very little evidence.
One of the things that I find so interesting about the idea of the chaos dragon being in the sea is that there comes a point when a new heaven and earth is created, but the sea is no more.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point is that the idea that life might exist somewhere gets back to the fact that in the world of the Bible, which came out of the Mesopotamian cultures of the ancient Near East, all of the stories featured a warrior god that had to defeat chaos represented by the sea, and a serpent or a dragon that lived in the sea or represented the sea. You find this in Babylonian, the Enuma Elish, which Josh summarizes in the book.
Baal cycle.
The Baal cycle. But of course in the Bible, Genesis 1 verse 2, we see the Spirit of God hovering over the deep, and the word translated deep is the word tehom, which comes, it's a cognate, same word, different language, from the Akkadian Temtum, which was essentially the name of the Sumerian chaos dragon, Tiamat. So and as Josh points out in the book, unlike the stories from the Baal cycle or Marduk defeating, and again, it's either Marduk or Ninurta or Enlil, depending on who's telling the story, or Enki, where they defeat the chaos dragon, but only with difficulty and with outside help. I mean, Ninurta's got a mace that actually is like a radio to Enlil, who's giving him instructions. Baal has to have magic clubs developed by the craftsman god. Yahweh is just like, boom,
done
Spirit
deal.
hovering over
mic drop.
That's it, yeah. Heads of Leviathan crushed. But while it's been defeated, it's not dead, and the actual ultimate defeat of chaos will occur at the end of time, Revelation 21. New heaven, new earth, and the sea is no more. It's a separate line. And in other words, chaos will be defeated. One of the points that we make in the book is that the whole Crowley, Cthulhu, chaos connection is that Crowley's successor, Kenneth Grant, took the magical system developed by Crowley, who believed he was instituting the Aeon of Horus, one of the Egyptian gods, the Aeneid. And he said, Grant said he detected a Set Sirius current. Well, Set was another version of this chaos monster, god of chaos, Egyptian god of chaos, equated by the Greeks with their chaos dragon, Typhon, who had to be defeated by Zeus. And so he believed that we were now moving into the Aeon of Set, or Aeon of Typhon, the age of chaos, as it were. So he believed that this god of chaos was what was returning, one of these extraterrestrial gods from outer space that's returning, and that we better figure out how to deal with it because it might get bad if we don't. Now,
so
as Christians, are we scared? Should we be frightened by this? No. Because greater is he that's in us than he that's in the world, and God has already seen the end from the beginning. Book of Revelation revealed to John, hey, sea is no more. Ultimately, will be defeated. But this is what the occultists believe. This is what they are acting on. In fact, one of the more prominent occultists of the last 50 years, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino, retired from the U.S. Army, high security clearance, founded the Temple of Set. Right. So the god of chaos is a god of these occultists. And if we go back to the Crowley, Cthulhu, Ancient Aliens connection, it's that occult undercurrent that basically inspired the entire Ancient Aliens hypothesis that is so prominent in UFO circles today.
Yeah, there's something definitely weird going on with the Leviathan stuff. And there's a really deep connection that we couldn't get into fully in the interview, but we do in the book. So I suggest you check it out, The Day the Earth Stands Still.